So, without further ado, Susan, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ryan, and welcome everyone. It's thrilled to be here with you, and we're going to have some fun today. So we're going to start out with the first screen that you see when you tap your Quantum Life icon, and this is called a splash page. And what we do with this is we don't just pass by it quickly. There's a moment that I would like all of you to take and focus on this and bring yourself into an expansive state of awareness and an expansive state of consciousness. So like travel through the universe, take your consciousness away from compression and open up to the beauty of the page, to the colors, and to a mindset of high intentionality, peace and harmony and spaciousness. So this is like perfect mind exercise to do before you enter into the program every time, so that you can get out of so much of the left brain beta busyness that we all find ourselves in today. So then the next thing that you'll do is you'll tap on that screen and you come to the client records page. So you're going to tap on the first name, and for the sake of training, we're just going to type in test. And for the last name, we're just going to type in client. Now you have tapped on test, you've tapped on client, and you want to tap on the birth date area, which would be next. And that will bring up a 3-scroll bar. So you will scroll to the birth date for the particular person or animal that you are working on. And when you have found that date, you will go right over here and you will tap on done. And that will register it in there. So now the next area is the area of concern, the area that you want to work on this particular section. And so what you do with that is you tap on that area, and you can tap on the X, which will clear that area. Now, one of the things that I've noticed over the last several months with people is that this is a confusing area. And by that I mean that most people want to type in everything that's going on with the person. And that will create a more fractured analysis. So what we're teaching is to hone it down, pick one subject matter, only one, and then the profile that is related to that subject matter, so that you keep it within a container of one issue only. And you're going to find that when you do that, and I know a lot of you are doing that, but you know, it's a good idea to do it this way every time, is that you will get better, clearer, more precise information and have actually a better session. So just for the sake of training, I'm just going to type in depression. And now what I want to do is not just leave it at depression. I want to put the profile in that's related to depression. So I will put a comma and I will space. And what goes with depression for this test client, let's say, is junk food eating. So I will type in junk food, comma, space. And let's say it's couch potato. Couch potato. Now, I know you're going to ask, okay, how does this know couch potato? Okay? Well, every word has a frequency, and that's called hololinguistics. So this works on the hololinguistic, and it picks up the energy of the words couch potato. That's why you put a comma between each one and you don't run them all together. You want each individual registration of that particular energy of what's associated with that profile. Okay, so we'll put a comma, and then we may put alcohol may be involved, and any other factors. For the sake of training, we're going to leave it here, and we're going to go down next to Analyze Client Image. When you click on Analyze Client Image, your keyboard will disappear, and you have two choices. You have a little icon on the right-hand bottom side, which is called Take a Picture Now, or you have your photo library. Now, if you have imported a photo from someone sending it to you through the email or whatever, you're going to want to go to photo library. Or if you've taken a previous picture with your device and it's in your photo library, that's where you're going to want to go. Preferably, the ultimate is to take a new picture, a fresh picture every time. And of course, you know, we realize that you can't do that, so that's why you also have access to your photo library. So we can go to, for the sake of training, photo library, and we can pick a photo. Okay, sorry about that, and scan. Okay.
It's a new type of client that we have.
I was going to say, we're getting very bionic, Ryan. This is Ryan's new prototype of a human being. And then
actually, no, that could be like your wife, because you don't really get much feedback like that. It would be much more easier to get better feedback, actually.
Okay. And then you're going to click Done. And that will take you back to your client record screen. Okay? So now the next area is the spectral voice analysis. And you have to do, every time you enter into working with someone, you have to do this process. You've got to go through these two new, because you want fresh information. Now the question often comes up about, okay, so I'm working with somebody, you know, in another state or another city, and I can't rush to them to do their session. Well, you can create a time and make a phone appointment with them, and it's best to have people focused and quiet when you're doing sessions with them that aren't in person, and you can have them do their voice over the phone and put your device right up against the phone and record their voice that way. So that works to perfection. Okay? So a good way on the voice analysis is to start out with A, E, I, O, U, and then make a very, very short declarative or empowering statement that's 180 degrees from what we typed in on the client records page. So it would be 180 degrees from depression, junk food, you know, lethargy, all of that. After you do the A, E, I, O, U. So Ryan, would you like to insert in here before we do this the more detailed information on the voice spectral analysis?
Yeah, I can, sure. Basically, what we're doing with the voice analysis is that essentially we're taking if you look at your voice analysis through, or in fact just your voice, as a sort of wave form or as a wave pattern, it's a really complex, sort of really thick wave pattern. So obviously with a really thick, complex wave pattern, it's really difficult to actually do anything with it. So there was a mathematical formula developed by a gentleman called a fast Fourier. So we essentially take the voice, we run it through this fast Fourier process, and the fast Fourier process essentially simplifies that complex wave pattern into a really sort of simplified wave pattern. Then once we've got that wave pattern, we sort of use that as the foundation for all of our testing going forward.
Perfect. Very clear. Perfect.
Well, that makes a change, so I'm happy with that.
Okay. So I'm going to tap on record, and we're going to do that. The statement that I'm going to use is, I am happy, alive, and vibrant in the world. Now, you know, you can use anything. This is just for, those are statements just for this training. So be appropriate to the person and have them make the statement. Do not make it for them. Because if you make it for them, it could conflict with their subconscious mind and set up a resistance pattern. But if it comes from them, it's going to be more in resonance and in harmony with their forward movement. Okay. So, A-E-I-O-U, I feel wonderful, vibrant, alive, and in the world. And if you notice, it is scanning the voice. And when that's done, you're going to tap OK. And then up here at the top, you're going to tap on Done. And that's going to take you back to the client records page. Now, what you'll do at this point is you will go to Start. But before we go to Start, there's icons down here on the bottom that are not on any of the other pages inside the program. So let's walk through them really quickly. If we tap on this one.
You know, while we're doing this, I'm just wondering, does anyone have any questions? Actually, you know what, I've got a couple of questions here. See if I can get this out. How much time do we have to make the statements? If I have people talking in French, do you think it will analyze the same? Okay, I can actually just answer those quickly. First of all, if you're talking French, yeah, that's fine. The only issue that we do have is if someone is speaking Chinese or any sort of dialect like that, we find that the analysis does not work. In terms of the actual time, I'm a bit uncertain, to be real candid with you. I think it's maybe 16 seconds, possibly. But I guess you could just, you can just time that yourself. All right, I'm not too sure where you were, but let me just give you the controller. I think you've actually, there we go. You've still got the keyboard and mouse, yes?
Yes. Okay, so this first one here is the welcome screen. Dare I tap on it again? There, perfect. Okay, so you can read this when you first get your app and familiarize yourself with it and know that it scrolls. I can't seem to, yeah, there it goes, okay?
You know, I've been battling for 3 months to get it to scroll like that on my computer.
Really?
Yeah, I try and I try and I try, but anyway, well, glad to see you can do it.
Okay. So this is good information for everybody to read, and you may want to read it more than once. I certainly did. The more you know about this, the more you're going to be able to do a fine-tuned session, and the easier and more comfortable you're going to be in sharing the information with others. So this little headset with this little head with this helmet on it, so if we tap on that, then this is all of the accessories that you can buy. Well, I'm not getting there, it's scrolling. And you can buy them direct from your device just by clicking on this. So if you want another harness set, or you want the crystal harness set, or you want whatever, just tap on that and you can purchase it direct. You don't have to go to the website, which I think is pretty awesome. So you tap on back. This book right here, this is your reading list. Now this also scrolls, and it is a suggested reading list, and it is by no means complete. It is like an entry-level reading list. If you have other things that you think are incredibly important, submit them to Ryan, and he'll take a look at them and see if it's appropriate to put in here. Or if you have other education that you want to pull on other than what's in here, that's great too. It's just a suggestion. And then the next one right here, this is the glossary of terms. This one I find very important for people to read, reread, understand, because there's information in here that you can absorb and utilize so that it's at your fingertips when you're talking to people. And then back. Okay. And of course, the question mark shows up on every panel, and that will take you to the information. That's the help section of the information of every page that you are on at that current time. So right now we were on client record screen, and this is the information on the client record screen, and again, it scrolls. So we go back. Now we're ready. We tap on Start. And this is the Da Vinci screen panel. Very good. It also scrolls. Very good to go through it, to absorb it, to, you know, learn this information. Like I said before, the more you know about what's going on in this app, the better a practitioner you will be, and the better you will be able to talk to people and have more clients and patients and sales. Okay, so tap on Start up here. And this takes us to the Da Vinci screen. Now, the first thing that you're going to see on the Da Vinci screen is, do you want to add text? I highly suggest every time you tap on Yes. Now, the purpose of the text is to piggyback information on every single panel you're working on, everything that you're doing. So energetically. So what you will tap in that area, and that will bring the keyboard up, and you put in positive, empowering, affirmative, declarative statements. This is only for what's wanted to create, what the intended purpose, what the outcome is of the session. So I am happy, feeling inspired, well-being, and joyfully participating in life. That's an intended outcome. Tap on OK. And tap on OK again, because you've been notified that it is registered. And now you can do your Da Vinci screen scan. This is your main panel that you function off of for everything that you do. So you have a whole list of categories down here. And behind those categories are the honed down, where you can get more information, you get more detailed information. This is just the category that's first going to be tested or scanned to find out what the highest priorities are. So we're going to do that right now, and we're going to run a scan. Okay, so this is like the higher the number above 650, the more pertinent it is. The more the body wants that balancing in that particular information, the more it wants that frequencies, energies, consciousness shift, the whole, everything. And so that's where you're going to start. Now, as we develop these trainings, we're going to be getting into intermediate training, we're going to be getting into advanced training. specialty trainings, special panels, very detailed information on certain panels, that kind of thing, where you'll learn to work with it deeper and deeper as we progress here. But this is basically just the overview of how to start as anew. So tap on OK. All right, so we have aura, we have meridians, and we have phobias. Now, one of the questions that comes up constantly is, well, why did it pick those? Well, it picked those areas in relation to the profile that you typed in, the client records page, and the declarative statement that you made created a profile. And all the conflicts and all the areas that those particular energies are mostly being held in that need to be balanced and clear. And so that's why it picked those. And I have to remind, clients a lot that this is in relation to your profile. This is not a general assessment, only to your profile. Okay, let's go to aura. And again, Ryan, can you read that? It's so small here, I can't read it.
Hint, drag items, for example, solfeggio tones into the multi-layer RX tray, select the timer, select start to balance the aura, then scan again to review the success.
Okay, that is information that you do as you move along. You can rescan your aura using the solfeggios or whatever else that you choose to use. Your first scan is going to be a direct, pure scan on the aura. Now, why are we doing a pure direct scan on the aura first? We want to know where the person is at the moment in their energy field. So what I always do, I like this test client. So what I always do is I will take a picture and record it so that when I'm through with the session or midway through the session or need to know where I need to do more work, I will do a rescan and I will record that picture so I have comparisons. And how you record a picture is you're going to hold down your shut-off tab on your device at the very top, and you're going to hold down your home button at the bottom at the same time, push them both down and in for just a moment and let go, and it will snap a picture and automatically load it into your photos. Okay? Do we have any questions to this point?
Just having a look-see now. Can you also speak on how you would work with animals as they cannot offer a voice sampling?
Yes, work with animals all the time. By the way, having some stunning results with horses and with a parrot. So what you do is you put in their information, the name of the animal, and the last, and if it's a horse, it'll be, Sunny Equine, or Sunny Parrot or Dog or whatever. And the last name of the animal is the name of the owner. Because an animal is never independent energetically. They are always immersed in the owner's fields and information and carry a lot of it. So then when you go through the process and you take your picture, when you come to the voice analysis, you're going to want to either touch the animal if you're there with it, quiet yourself, go in deep inside, and become that animal to the best of your ability. If you can't do that, think of the animal, or look at the picture of the animal on your computer screen that was sent to you, and become one with the animal and then speak the voice of the declarative outcome statement. And you will find that your voice will change. You may find yourself speaking really soft, you know, or more gruff, or different, you know, vibration in your normal voice, and it will resonate and be the animal. I hope that answers your question.
Yep. There was just a request if you could repeat how to take a photograph, please.
Yes. Taking a photograph up at the top of your iDevice, okay, whether it's an iPad, iPhone, iPod Touch, you have the little tab up at the top of your power off bar, okay, button. And so you're going to put one finger on that, and then you're going to come down to the bottom called your home button, which is that round button on the device, not within the iNfinity program. It's actually the physical device. And you're going to press down on the power button at the top and press in on the round home button exactly at the same time, just down and release. And it will snap a picture of your screen, whatever is on your screen.
That should be good. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're back here to the Da Vinci screen. And if you notice, we'll go to these little icons in a little bit, but you have two balancing cells. One is the balance RX, and one is the multi-layer RX down here at the bottom. There's a lot of confusion still about this. Now, you've been given a beautiful manual. I highly suggest that you peruse it and, to the best of your ability, go through the whole manual in detail. And the distinction between these two is they do the same balancings, but the balance RX is for the screen that you're on, and only the screen that you're on. So all the information that you drag into that screen, into that cell, will be from the screen that you're on. When you leave that screen, that is blown off. It will not be available to you on the next screen. The multi-layer RX is where you accumulate what you want to balance in what I call a final session, you know, the ending whole profile session, and that will go from screen to screen to screen, and you can keep adding and layering more and more items. Ryan, how many can they go up to on that?
And which one? The balance? The multi-layer?
The multi-layer.
I think up to about 15, eh?
Okay, about 15. So you can pull 15 items from different screens and it will hold it. It's like a holding tray. And then you can balance the whole profile against any panel, against the Aura if you want, or against the Da Vinci screen, and, you know, completely do what I call a mop-up session at the end. But this up here is only for the screen that you're on now. I do not suggest more than 3 items in there. I think you can go up to 5, but the more focused and the more concentrated, the better the results off of the balance RX. This is what I've noticed. And down at the bottom, it doesn't matter because you're just doing a profile. Here you're actually going in and really doing some specific detailed work. So we can take Aura, we could take meridians from here and put them in there, and we can take phobias and drag them and drop them into that cell. Over here is your timer bar, and if you tap on that and scroll it, we can do like 3 minutes or whatever, 1 minute per item. You can do 3 minutes per item. You can do 2 minutes per item. Don't do long terms, you know, long times per item unless it's indicated to do that. And we'll get into that in other trainings of when it is indicated to do that. But to start with, while you're learning this, while you're practicing, while you're getting used to it, it's really wise to keep the times shorter. So we tap on the arrow, and that will light up in a flashing red. You will see here this bar. This is your timer bar, which shows you how much time you've used, and the white is how much time you have left. And this is the hologram of the combination of the frequencies that are being delivered. Now, it's a really good idea, if it's all possible, to have your client or your patient watch the screen as they're being balanced, because there's a lot of information, believe it or not. There's actually a lot of information here to the subconscious mind. And there's a lot of information in colors, in the movement, everything. So even when I'm working with animals, I will have them watch the screen. Horses try to breathe it in. They every single time, 100%, they are breathing in the energy direct. They have their nose right to the iPad, and they're looking at it, and they're breathing in the energy. It's most fascinating. Okay. So is that clear? All right. So what's our highest number here, Ryan? Because I can't see. It's too small on my screen. Did I lose you? Okay. If you want to start your multi-layer RX, then pick the largest number from here, and you can start to build. Now, on the Da Vinci screen, when we did Aura, or you're doing meridians, or you're doing any of those, you're doing the whole profile. You haven't honed down. You're doing the whole complete profile. So now let's say let's say Aura. I can't see the numbers, so for the sake of the training, let's say we really want to work with the Aura. So I'm going to drag Aura down there and leave it. Now, meridians are next. So I'm going to tap on meridians, and I'm taken to the deeper meridian panel. Now you notice Balance RX is empty. That information from the screen blew off, but Aura followed us. So whatever we put in from this screen into the multi-layer will follow us. So let's do a scan. Okay, so we came up with central. So we're going to, that looks like central. We're going to drag it into the tray. And we came up with liver. And we're going to drag it to the tray. And we came up with small intestine. And we're going to drag it to the tray. And we will again tap on the arrow and do the balancing, and you notice it's a different hologram because it's different frequencies and it's different energy. If you want to stop at any time, you just tap on the arrow and it stops. Okay. Now basically what we're doing is just very basic. This is called basic navigation. There's nothing fancy here. We're just going through, systematically how to do a very fundamental session. Okay, so let's say we want to drop liver. We will drop liver into the multi-RX. We can drop more than that, but I'm just going to do liver and the back arrow. And that takes us back to the Da Vinci screen. Now we're going to go to the next highest, which is phobias. and we're going to scan quotias. So failure came up. So I'm going to put failure in there, and flying. Now, and that looks like social. So I can take all these three and I can put them up there. But in the process of talking to the person, I'm going to discern which one of these, or two, is the most important to drop into the multi-layer. And I would say failure. For somebody in depression, I would drop failure in there. So I can do a short balancing on this by tapping on this, and you notice you have a different pattern, and let it run. Now, if I tap on the black area there, this will drop down. And after I've done my balancing of the whole profile, I want to drag out sexual or social, I guess, whatever that is. I can't see it. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, flying. Okay, that's all going to go, and I'm going to drop failure back in. And I may do 5 minutes. I may do 8 minutes or 10 minutes on failure. People who are in depression are heavy into failure, the failure syndrome. So I want to break that energy up as much as possible. So I'm going to change my time and change my focus and spend time on that and make sure that it's down in the multi-layer RX. And then I will watch the numbers here in this area, and I will do my best to get a number, say 18% or above. Now, there's been lots of questions about, okay, why doesn't this balance to 100%? Why doesn't this balance to, 85, 90%, like a lot of people are used to in all different kinds of equipment that's out there? So I'm going to let Ryan answer that one. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I was in a daze.
Is it that boring, Ryan?
No.
Okay. So a lot of people are asking on the alignment and the harmony and so on, why are they getting, small percentages, not getting the 85% or the 100% like with all kinds of other different devices out there?
It's a good question. I've sort of been trying to figure that out myself. In fact, I had a gentleman in Egypt email me this morning and said, what's going on with this? And I guess, there's nothing that I can do to, to sort of change that. The two thoughts that I have is, first of all, I think it would be better to get, smaller changes over a longer time period. So perhaps getting a 20% improvement with each visit is potentially better than having a major improvement. Because typically what happens with not with biofeedback, but with the body's physiology, when it is subjected to electromagnetic frequencies, it has that adjustment process. But then typically what happens is that the body will begin to go back to its original state of sort of health or sort of disease. So my sense with this is by making these smaller changes, it's easier for the body to actually hold on to those changes over a longer period of time. That's my first thought. My second thought, again, just to be real candid with you, it could have to do with the possibly the limitation of the frequencies that the iPhone or the iPad is generating. Those are really my only two thoughts, actually.
So that's a valid question with the iPad and the iPhone and the speakers. Is there value to add additional outside speakers
Yeah, yes and no. We actually, I guess, just to, sort of partially let the cat out the bag. It's something that we are looking at in terms of the quantum imprinter that we've developed. We're looking at actually making some changes or making some additions that can actually work, in addition to the quantum imprinter to essentially boost up the power or the, the can't really say the effectiveness of the treatment, but I think what I'm trying to say is that we are um, our thought process right now is I prefer the 20% rectification because I think smaller changes or gradual changes are better. However, B, we are exploring different options to be able to improve that as well without letting the cat too much out of the bag.
Okay. Because to validate what Ryan said, when I studied with many different people, basically what I was taught is small, tiny changes have larger effects than blasting the body. It can absorb it more, it can utilize it more, and it can make deeper changes when done in small time periods with a smaller rectification number. In other words, I think out there in the industry, it's called the butterfly effect. The flapping of the butterfly wings makes a change around the world, and quantum physics has proved that. So I don't think we need to even think about having to go for high rectifications, because the results that we're getting are stunning with just the way that it is. Okay? Okay, so let's go back. This is always your back arrow, is the back. And that will take us back to the Da Vinci screen. Now, there's two icons up here at the top. One looks like a printer, and here is where you can increase the power, the delivery power. And I don't, when you're starting out, I would highly recommend leaving it at default. Maybe if you want to do a little bit more power, you're going to go times 10. But I would reserve these for later trainings and later protocols that we're going to be developing. Okay? This arrow here, if you tap on it, okay, you can send the page that you're working on to Facebook, to Twitter. If you have an AirPlay enabled printer, you can print the page. And what I do is I always click on report page, and this will allow me to email the information either to myself to print off on my big printer and put in their file, or to email it to somebody else. And I do not suggest emailing very much information to your client or to your patient. It can be misunderstood, misconstrued, better information left in your office, in your hands. But what I always do email them is their aura picture before and their aura picture afterwards. And that seems to satisfy a lot. Now there's been a lot of questions that have come in about the aura and learning to read it and so on. So we're going to do a specific training just on the aura. And you're going to have a much more detailed understanding of how to read the aura. Okay, so any questions to this point?
I have a couple of questions here. Let me just quickly go through there. Since you have, I'm just going to read them all off quick, and then maybe you can whiz through them. Since you have to record a new audio for each session, do you have to take a new picture to get the client's current states?
The answer is that's the ideal, yes, preferred. And if you can't do that, use what you have in your photo library.
With the picture, does it matter if it's a headshot or full body? Does background colors, objects in the picture matter?
It should be on a plain background. This again is the ideal. You're not always going to get this, okay? And a full body is obviously the best, but a headshot is just fine because we are a hologram and all of the information is still contained in the headshot.
Okay, there's a question in terms of, why would you use the balanced RX as opposed to the multi-layer RX?
The balance RX is for targeted specific work for a much longer period of time per item than when you put it into the multi-layer RX. So we do balancings on each panel in the balance RX and then drop only those items that we want to balance as a profile into the multi-layer RX.
Should we practitioners avoid watching the images with the clients?
I don't think so. And the reason that I say that is that if you have a matching issue with your client, you're going to get a clearing also. If you don't have a matching issue, it's not going to be any different than John Doe's cell phone ringing through your space and you don't hear it.
Another basic question, do we have the client hold the iPad? And just to tie into that, we have not talked about putting the electrodes on the client. Are they optional?
Right. Okay. The more you can engage the person and have them hold the iPad, I have found the deeper that they will work with you. And because they're engaged in the process, they're not passive. So yes, I like them to hold the iPad. And the harness, Ryan, I'm going to let you go through the harness with everybody.
Yeah, sure. Just to sort of add, add to the harness, we actually are currently making some further changes with the Quantum Geo and the subsequent harnesses that we do have. So we're pretty excited with that. I did send out an email to everyone this morning, regarding a increase in commission, etc., etc. To tie into that, basically we'll be coming out with a whole new harness system. With this whole new harness system, we anticipate that the price, we will be able to increase the price a bit, and in doing that, we'll be able to pay higher commissions, etc., etc. However, with that said, really the idea behind the current Quantum Geo harnesses that everyone has, ideally what you will do is actually place them on the underside of both of your wrists, and that you can basically leave them there for the entire session. However, it is my opinion that if you are going to balance the chakras, as an example, why on earth would you leave them on your wrist? Rather remove them from the wrist and then place them directly, directly over the chakras. If you're working with knee or liver, kidneys, or whatever it is, would really encourage you to take the geos and to place them directly over that area to help provide a localized balancing on that specific area.
Perfect.
I've got one more question here. Does the client record, track, or tally the percent changes from the balance section? I'll actually answer that and say no. There's a question here from a gentleman. Those of you, is there anyone out there of the people that are joining us that have been able to obtain a higher percentage, let's say maybe 45 to 55 to maybe 65%? If you could just let us know. Because look, at the end of the day, when we created the software, essentially we built the software, we created the algorithms, we created the formulas, and in many ways it's like we've got this sort of foundation of a program. However, what we anticipate is that as practitioners and as there's more and more people out there using this, they are going to be able to find, tricks or tips or shortcuts where they can actually improve the percent rectification. So those of you that have been able to crack that, please do let us know. But another question here, Susan. What are the number on the cross analysis, and what if the word to check is not in the program?
What is the word to check?
Yeah.
I didn't get clear on that.
So what are the numbers on the cross analysis? I think they're just looking for an explanation in terms of the numbers with the cross analysis. And then what would you do if there's nothing in, if the item that you're looking for is not in the cross analysis?
Okay, so when you double tap on an item, you're going to get the cross analysis, and I double tapped on central meridian. So then to find out the resonance of an item against the central meridian, I will tap in the yellow X area, and I will type in, let's go liver, L-I-V-E-R. And is that liver there, Ryan? I can't read.
It's the first one, yeah.
It is the first one, okay. Then I will click on it, and it will load liver. Now we're going to check the resonance of the liver and how it's affecting the central meridian. So we click on check, click, and check, and it is scanning those two items together, their energies, to come up with a resonant frequency of, is this beneficial? Does this need to be handled, or is this nothing? And I can't read those numbers, Ryan.
12,130.
Okay, so Ryan says the ideal for something that is really, really important is 15,000 and above, and I make it a rule on my part 10,000 and above. So we're 12,000. So I would, at this point, I would take liver and I would drag it into the balance RX on the meridian screen, because we can X out of here. And I will balance liver against the meridian screen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everybody clear on that?
It makes sense to me.
Okay, all right. Let's go back to, because we're getting tight on time here. Let's go back to the Vinci screen. You have a little whirligig right here, a cute little thing. If you tap on it, it's going to take you to the customize panel and the Nagier frequencies. So if you want to add an item, you want to add product, or you want to add something of your own, this is the only place that you can do it, and you only get one chance. If you click cancel, you will not be able to get back into this to add anything unless you bring up another client. So if you tap on OK, and you go to add up here at the top, okay, you can add, let's say, add unconditional love. You will type in the name of it, and if you know the frequency, like if you're typing in a Rife frequency, or you know the frequency of a particular product, you'll type in the name of it, and then you will add the frequencies. So it's 528, and I like to do it a couple of times. So 528.
Hang on, they're still going in the same box. Huh?
Okay. Well, all right. 528. And tap OK.
Hang on, let me just get rid of this one here.
Okay. And here you have unconditional love. So in another training, we can show you how to add to your profile to get it bigger and bigger. But right now, that's the simplicity of it. You just, you know, tap on add, you go, you type in the name, and you type in the frequencies, and you click add, and you're done. Then go back. And you will notice that unconditional love is here now. So now we can run a scan on the whole profile. And there it is. So you can drag these and drop them into the Balance RX. If you feel that the Nausea is more important, if you're running tight on time, then you're going to want to focus on that, or you're going to want to bring them all down into the multi-layer RX and drop them in there. You want to know what these mean? Tap on the question mark, and you can read frequency B, frequency C, etc., and learn what they're all about. They're also in your manual. So then we can go back after we've done all of our balancing work there. And the last for this training, which is the brain. If you tap on that little brain icon, it's going to take you to the brainwave pattern. Now, if you have a headset, the brainwave headset, you're going to want to have it plugged in before you go to this panel so that it can pick up that it's active. And that, with the headset, you will be able to see your brainwave patterns in real time. And you'll be able to see how unfocused you are or how focused you are, depending upon how the patterns move on the screen back here. But if we don't have that, which we don't, we're going to tap on OK. And we're going to run a scan. Now this would be the same process, by the way, that you could do if you had your headset on. And it wants stimulating these items, so we can drag all of them in. I'm only going to drag a couple right now for time-wise, and do a balancing. Now, if you had your headset on, you would be able to watch your brainwave patterns move here, going from beta to alpha to theta to back to delta to all over the place. And as you were balancing, especially if you balanced one item, you would watch yourself in time come into alignment and pin on the area that was being balanced, and it works 100% every time. And it's fabulous brain training. Fabulous. You can also, and I highly suggest it, okay, you can go and you can go back to any panel and you can drop it in the cell and you can start your balancing. Click on this little brain and it will bring you back to this panel, and you can watch how your brain waves are reacting to whatever, if it's the meridian panel or the body panel or the chakra panel. You can watch how your body and your brain is reacting to that particular balancing of that screen. It's pretty cool. Okay, then you have your graphs, which aren't going to really show up because we don't have the headset attached.
Yeah, they won't show up. The statistics in that won't show up unless
Right.
and you actually got the headset on.
Right. Okay. Okay, so Ryan, is there anything else that wants to be covered here?
You know, I actually just have one more question here. Let me throw this out there. Bear with me. How come when one reruns the same client with the same picture and audio and ailments, even after a few minutes, the readings don't come out the same?
They never will. Not when you're working in energetic medicine, not when you're working in the energetic field, because the body is quantum and it is always shifting and changing, and its priorities are always different. This is not lab work. And by the way, speaking of lab work, it's well known that you can send the same sample, you know, you can draw blood and from the same person in 4 different vials, send it out to 4 different labs, and you're going to come back with 4 variations of information. So we're quantic. I mean, there's no static information. So don't even look for it to be the same, because it can't be and it won't be. Okay? We're always changing, and we're driving the fields, and we're driving the consciousness, and we're driving the chemistry into a state of wellness. And it's going to be all fluctuating all over the place on its journey to wellness. I hope that helps.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let me just quickly see if anyone's got any more questions. I can maybe take 4 o'clock. Let me have a quick look. See.
Okay, wait, I got one more, okay? We're done with our session, let's say, okay? We're gonna go back to aura, and we're gonna scan the aura again. See how this is? You've got, you know, red misplaced, that shouldn't be there, and you got all kinds of things, which we'll get into. We will do an aura training. And we're gonna scan. And we got a lot of healing, more healing going on, got some pink, so on. So now what we're going to do is take a picture. Tap the top down, press the home button for a second, let go, and you got a picture, and you have a before and after of your session. Okay, Ryan?
Perfect. Just a couple of points here. There's a question in terms of where you get the latest manual from. You know, those of you that are not receiving our emails, please just drop me an email. You know, essentially what's happened with some of you is when you make a purchase through PayPal, perhaps you've used your husband's card or your husband's details or whatever it may be. As a result, we've taken that information and put it into the database. So unfortunately, your husband, who probably thinks you're an absolute loony for being involved in this, is getting all these weird and wonderful emails and everything else, and he has no idea what to do with them. So please just drop me an email, give me an updated email address, and I can gladly add you to the database. We did send out an email this morning where it contained all the latest. We had the list of the cross analysis and then the latest up-to-date manual as well. There is a question here about biocompatibility testing. I'm afraid we will have to get to that next week. Alternatively, we did put out an email, I think it was earlier this week, regarding the biocompatibility testing. If you didn't receive, again, just shoot me an email and I can gladly send you that video. In fact, you know what? You can find that video on our YouTube channel. So you can go to youtube.com and just do a search for Quantum Life, and you'll find our channel, and I think it's the most recent video that we posted. But with that said, Susan, really want to thank you for your time. It's nice to know how someone can speak very clearly and precisely, something I'm always aspiring to do. So certainly thank you very much for that. And those of you that have attended today on a Friday afternoon, lovely to have you, and have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.